So hello everyone, welcome again to this YouTube channel. So today I'm going to cover very important topic that is frequently asked in the interview, that how will you handle dynamic elements in Selenium. So let me reiterate this question, that what exactly this means. That suppose you have an element which is changing every time you visit on that page again and again. So how to handle these type of elements? So I have 5 points with me. We'll discuss it with one by one. So let me start with the first point then. So the first point is we can locate the element using absolute XPath. So there are two type of XPath that we use. One is relative XPath, another one is absolute XPath. So absolute XPath is locating the element from the root element of the page, and a relative XPath is taking reference of any nearby stable element. So whenever you are finding difficulty to locate the dynamic element, so you can use absolute XPath in that case. And second point is it is least preferable method, and try to avoid this. If you can have other way, you can switch to that way. So right now I'm on the Amazon's web page, and I'm right now on home page, and let me inspect any element, and I'm going to show you that how we can get the absolute XPath of any web element. So I have got this search button with me. So now I want absolute XPath of this search button. So I'll just right click on it, selected area, and go to copy and copy full XPath. So let me show you how it looks like. Control F and Control V. So this is the absolute XPath of this element, and if I show you the simple XPath, that what we call as relative XPath, this simple XPath. And if you see difference between both, this is very small in length and absolute XPath is large in length, because I already told you that it picks the element from the root element. So I have already shown you that how you can find the absolute XPath of any web element. So guys, this is least preferable way to find element, and in case you haven't got any approach, then you can use this. Otherwise try to avoid it. So second approach is you can use various XPaths method, that is starts with text, contains, and an or. So we are going to cover it one by one. Don't worry. So I'll start with starts with, and see it's in first place starts with, and second text, and third contains, and we'll take example of and an or at last. So let me start with a point first. So now I'm going to show you that how we can use starts with function. So suppose I have to take all these containers. I want that I make any XPath that will locate all these containers. So let me show you how we can do that with starts with functions. So, okay, let me inspect it again. Okay, so this is the ID of this first container, desktop grade 1, and second container has ID desktop grade 2, and third container has ID desktop grade 3. So if you can see, one common thing between these three containers is desktop grid. So we'll take reference from here. We'll use starts with. So let me Control F and Control V. Okay, so to start with the XPath, double slash, then div, then starts with, then in round bracket we need to write @ID and then comma, then in single quotes I need to write desktop grid. See, using starts with I got all the containers that are present. So that's how we can use starts with. You can learn the syntax. Starts with, then in round bracket you need to put @ID, then comma. And actually I used to do this mistake, that instead of comma I used to write sometimes equals, but just make sure you write comma here, and that's how you can use starts with. Let's see what we have next. So guys, we have already seen that how we make XPath using starts with. So I'll show you now how we can make it with text. So let me go over to the browser. So guys, let me show you that how we can use text method, and suppose I have to pick this one up to 70% off. So how can I pick that using text? Let's control F double slash div square brackets at the text, not at the rate, text and round bracket is equal to single hyphen and then double hyphen, then up to, so let me pick the text. I copy this text and I'll just put it here. Let's see what mistake I am making here. Okay, so it's in h2 tag, so I need to put here h2. So that's how we can pick it using text. You can remember the syntax, that text here I am using equal to. I'm not using comma here, I'm using equal to and then writing the text that we want to pick. So now here I'll show you contains as well, that how we can use contains, because you can see that I need to write full text up to 70% of electronics clearance store. So it makes XPath very larger. So I can make it short using contains round bracket and then put here it in round bracket, and instead of equal to you put comma, and I can remove half of the part. See, we can use contains. I think there are more containers that is having 70% off. So guys, you can pick it using contains in this way, just to make sure that don't use equal to in contains method. That's the mistake I used to make. I used to forget, you can say that like that. So let's see what we have next. So guys, we have already covered starts with, text and contains. Let me show you one example of and or as well. So let me go to Amazon then. So guys, I'm going to show you now that how we can use and or inside the XPath. So suppose I need to take these two containers. So I'll show you that how I can get it using and or. So let me inspect this. Okay, so I have this ID, desktop grade. So I'll just first write the XPath of this, double slash div round bracket, square bracket at the rate ID equal to single hyphen, and then I put it. Okay, so I got this container using ID in XPath. So now I want these two containers. My expectation was that I want these two containers. So now how can I do that using and or? So that I can do, right, or at the rate ID is equal to, so fourth one is 4ID. So now you can see I got these two using or inside the XPath, and same like that you can use and. Third way is locating element by index. Suppose you have multiple elements present on the page having same property, then if you want to pick any of them, then you can use index feature. So let me show you this in browser. So suppose I have to pick any option from this header bar, and I'll show you that how we can do that using index. So let me inspect this first, then I'll show you that how we can pick this using index. So I'm going to pick XPath from this ID. So let me start with control F control V and double slash div square bracket at the rate ID single quote, and put this ID inside the single quote. Okay, so we have got the ID of full header bar, double slash, and A will get each option from the header bar. So suppose I want to pick this first one. So how can I do it using index? I need to enclose this whole XPath within the round bracket, and then within the square bracket I need to put the index. So see, I got first one. If I want to pick second one, pick second one. If I want to pick third one, so I got third one. So that's how we can do it using index. Point is you can locate element using or clubbing two or more CSS attributes. So if you are finding difficulty to find out unique locator, then you can club two or more CSS attributes as well. So let me show you this on the website. So suppose guys, my requirement is that I want these two containers in my locator, this one and this one. Now how can I do this using or clubbing CSS attributes? I'll show you. Let me inspect this first. Okay, so I got this and I got ID from the first, for the first container. So let me control F and control V. So guys, remember, whenever you write CSS, if you have ID and you want to use it as an in CSS, you have to put hash in the starting. So this is the CSS for the ID. So but our expected condition is that we need both containers. Then how we can do that? Suppose if I remove this and put 2, so we got the second container, but I want both. How I can do that? So then we can use it, we can club it using comma. I copied it and I just put second in place of 1. So now we got 2 in our CSS attribute. So that's how you can club. If you have any difficulty finding any elements, you can use this approach as well. So last and most important point is using reference of closest stable element. So XPath provides various axis functions, so in which we have following siblings, ancestors, many functions that provides us to find element using the reference of closest stable element. So I'll show you a few options from them. I think if I'll cover each and every, then it would take a bit of time. So I'll cover one or two options from axis functions. So let's go to the browser then. So guys, I'm on Amazon and I'll show you that how we can use axis in XPath. So let me inspect any element first. Okay, so from the left bar, so let me pick this whole container. So first I'm going to make an XPath. I'm going to make XPath from this ID div and square bracket at the rate ID equal to, and then single quote, and put this ID inside the single quote. Okay, so I have got this XPath of the left side bar. So now I want to use axis. So suppose I want to pick the child inside these div. So how I'm going to write this? Slash child, then double columns, then div. See, so now what exactly it is doing is, it is inside this div, it is picking all the child div, all the div inside this left side bar. Let me remove this. So we have this div and you want to pick child div of this container. So how you need to write? Slash child and then double column, this is the syntax, then div. So now I want to pick any anchor tag from the child of this container. So if I write A here, so there is no anchor tag, so it is not picking anything. So that's how you can use child. And if I talk about the following one means that after this div you want to pick other elements. Suppose, let me remove this, and syntax is same, following, and then you need to put 2 columns, then div. See, it is picking divs after that container, not it does not go inside the container. It is picking all the divs after that containers. So that's how you can use different type of axis. We have ancestor, following sibling, then we have child. There are many. I have already covered these two, so I think that is enough. So let's see what we have next. So guys, last section is frequently asked questions. So different types of questions can be asked from you, although answer is same for all the questions. So I'm going to show you that first question is that how to locate elements with the same property. So the answer we have already covered. And the second question is, second type of question I'm saying, how to find elements if all the locators are dynamic. So we have already covered the answers, but I want you to again reiterate all those points. Let me go over there and show you. Okay, so let's reiterate again and again. So how to handle dynamic elements in, if someone asks you in the interview, first is using absolute XPath. You can use absolute XPath. Second is you can use various methods like starts with, text, contains. Third is you can locate elements by index. Fourth is you can locate elements by clubbing two or more CSS attributes. Fifth one is you can take reference of closest stable elements, in which you can use axis functions. So that's all from the video, guys. I hope you like the video. Please do share the video if you like it. Thank you.